weekend. Welcome again to Mass United Insurance's Line and Length. It's a cricket program where we look at the sport not only in the region, but internationally as well. I'm Barry Wilkinson. Hello to all of our friends watching on Sportsmax and Scene TV in the US. With me is Andrew Seeley, and what a week it has been. Controversy reigns in our cricket. This gentleman, Anil Roberts, the Sports Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, ruling this week that the TNT name has to be taken off of the red steel in the Limacol CPL.
Well, certainly, the action has been off the field, and we know that Anil Roberts, the Minister of Sports from Trinidad and Tobago, is an action man, and he took action. But he also got a response, Barry, from an action man as well.
He did. He got a response from Dwayne Bravo. On the show today, we're going to hear why Anil Roberts is so adamant that the name TNT can no longer be used with or associated with the Limacol CPL. He's on our show today. We're going to get a response too from a very, very good lawyer, Ralph Thorne. He is a Queen's Counsel, and he, of course, is one of the best lawyers in the Caribbean. He is going to give his legal position on it and also a personal opinion. All coming up on Mass United Insurance's Line and Length. Don't move a muscle. Anil Roberts when we come back.
Across the Caribbean, more people are placing their trust in Massey United Insurance for the protection of the things that are important to them, their homes, businesses, and their prized possessions. That's because Massey United Insurance offers excellent general insurance coverage to help you manage whatever life sends your way. Our cadre of well-reputed agencies and trained insurance professionals are always ready to provide you with sound advice and prompt service. Choose the security and sound strength that is Massey United Insurance.
In the Caribbean, we do things a little differently. Okay, a lot differently. Our parties are bigger and more colorful. Our people are more beautiful and more sensual. Our fans are more expressive and loud. And our cricket is exhilarating. Limacol CPL, the biggest party in sport, is back, and it's time to come see the stars of West Indies cricket alongside the best international players in T20, Peterson, Mulitharan, Hafiz, and many more when the Limacol CPL returns from 11th July to 16th August. The Caribbean comes alive with partying, dancing, cheering, and the thrill of the Limacol Caribbean Premier League. It's time to join the biggest party in sport. See cplt20.com for details.
I live cool, I live fresh, I live life without the stress. Every day I feel my best, I live cool with Limacol. Feel the energy, feel the breeze, I feel like doing as I please. Relaxation comes with these, I live cool with Limacol.
Live cool with Limacol and feel the freshness of a breeze in a bottle. Limacol is trusted the world over and gives that easy, breezy Caribbean feel to all.
Every day I feel my best, I live cool with Limacol.
Okay, let's go live now to Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago, and talk to the Minister of Sports, Anil Roberts, who has been quite vocal recently about this whole issue with the red steel not being branded as Trinidad and Tobago. Anil, good to see you. Welcome to Mass United Insurance's Line and Length. I first of all want to get your position clear. Why are you so vehement about TNT's name not being associated with the red steel?
Well, good afternoon and welcome. It's good to be on your show and to be talking to you in Barbados. It is quite clear. It is not my position. It is not the Minister of Sports' position at this time. The situation is quite simple. The name of Trinidad and Tobago, a sovereign country that gained independence in 1962, our forefather, our founding father, Dr. Eric Eustace Williams, Dr. Ruginat Capildeo, and all of those who went to Marlborough House to fight for our independence, who wrote our constitution, our national anthem. And since that time, there has been specific criteria for the use of the name Trinidad and Tobago with regards to sporting teams. Trinidad and Tobago can only be used by national teams of Trinidad and Tobago, which are 100% made up exclusively by citizens of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Number one. So the franchise arrangement that exists now simply does not qualify, because you can have people from all nationalities, whether New Zealand, Australia, Zimbabwe, India, Pakistan, playing for a franchise team. Therefore, it cannot qualify to be called Trinidad and Tobago. Secondly, national teams of Trinidad and Tobago are picked by the recognized sporting body, whether it is archery, swimming, badminton, water polo, cricket, football. There is a recognized body that is recognized by the ministry and the government that has the only authority and autonomy to select national teams based on their criteria and utilize the name Trinidad and Tobago. In this case, it is the Trinidad and Tobago Cricket Board. They can pick the national team. Thirdly, all conventions and history has shown that the third priority is that the best of the best must be made available at all times for selection to national teams. There must be no fair or favor. There must be no preference. The best of the best on objective criteria across the board must be selected. In this case, the best, our best are strewn all across the place in different franchises. You have Pollard in Barbados. You have Sunil Narayan, Dinesh Ramdin in Amazon in Guyana. You have Rampal, Lendell Simmons all over the place. And therefore not being able to be selected for a national team. So it just does not exist. It's not possible for the franchise to be named Trinidad and Tobago.
But last year, it did exist. Why all of a sudden TNT has woken up and, you would say, smell the coffee? Why did they not have this hard-nosed position in 2013?
Well, there was. When I met with them early before the beginning of last CPL, I told them, listen, I am deeply disturbed, but I do not want to rush or jump the gun. I do not want to be presumptuous. I do not want to spoil something that could be beneficial. I need information. So last year, unfortunately, they erred by using the name of Trinidad and Tobago. I chose not to act and act in a hurry and act with, on emotion. I wanted to gain all the evidence, all the situation. So as soon as I got all the information, I immediately told them, you all made a mistake. You utilized the name of Trinidad and Tobago without permission. It was illegal. You could not do it, and you cannot continue to do it. They accepted my argument immediately and amicably, and they decided to move the name. Unfortunately, somebody forgot to tell Mr. Dwayne Bravo, because this was done since last year, September, and it was officially agreed up to 2.5 months ago. So I don't know what is the communication strategy of the IPL, of the CPL, their organizational structure, or whose responsibility it was to tell Mr. Dwayne Bravo, sir, you are the captain of a franchise team named Red Steel. I heard that he went out for the toss and he was very emotional and made some statements that
he actually said that the people who made the decisions are a bunch of jokers, which you replied to. How do you respond to that?
Well, I wouldn't respond to Mr. Bravo like that. But if he thinks I'm a joker, it's not my decision. If he is calling our founding fathers and those who created our Constitution and fought for our independence, like the names that I called before, Dr. Eric Eustace Williams, Rujanat Kapildeo, Pat Castani, and all of those who wrote and sang our national anthem and fought for our freedom and created us and made us into a republic in 1976 with our own president, and all of those who have gone before, who ensure that Trinidad and Tobago is a sovereign nation that cannot be bought by any businessman, secret ghost businessman, or for any reason whatsoever. If he calls those people jokers, I would suggest to him that he stick to what he is best at: bowling, batting, fielding, and maybe singing a bad dancehall tune now and again. He must not let his mouth run on things that he has not spoken, he has not investigated, has no information on, he asked no questions, he did not do any research, but he ran his mouth off. I think he should zip it a little bit, understand issues which are above his level of intellect, and not be so disrespectful to his country. Let me also remind you, Barry, that with the IPL, you must remember when Trinidad and Tobago Red Force won 3 times. There was an issue at the first time that the cricket board did not let the government or let me know what was the position with the player. And with all due respect to all the other Caribbean countries, I love Barbados, I love Jamaica, but I also relish the challenge of beating a Bajan team in anything, whether it's football, cricket, swimming, however you put it. Just like the Bajans relish beating Trinidad and Tobago. This CPL has nothing to do with our sovereign nations. If there is something that could qualify to represent Trinidad and Tobago for the great of the game development and so on, I am 100% behind it. The name of Trinidad and Tobago is not for me, Barry. It is not for me to say. I am just the minister for now, and I'm happy and privileged to hold that short-term position. But Trinidad and Tobago's name in history, in law, can only be used for citizens of the Republic. No CPL, no new CEO, change a CEO, change a manager. Don't play those unprofessional games with our nations. We are serious people who have fought throughout the Caribbean, whether it be in literature, in politics, in leadership, in sport, in across the board, in music, in anything now, in sports commentary. We watch the ESPYs, you see a Caribbean flavor, Caribbean music. We are great people. No one can buy Trinidad and Tobago. They cannot change our rules, and they certainly cannot abuse our island's name as if it is something for them to play with.
All right. Well, Anil, thanks so much. We're out of time. I want to thank you for coming on the program. We'll continue to discuss it. We have Attorney at Law, Ralph Thorne, to also look at the issue coming up next on the show. I want to thank you, Anil Roberts, Minister of Sports in sweet TNT. And I use TNT not loosely, but proudly.
And thank you. And they must understand intellectual property rights. Trinidad and Tobago is a brand owned by the people of Trinidad and Tobago and guarded by the government and the cabinet of Trinidad and Tobago. God bless. Enjoy.
Thank you, Anil.
Across the Caribbean, more people are placing their trust in Massey United Insurance for the protection of the things that are important to them, their homes, businesses, and their prized possessions. That's because Massey United Insurance offers excellent general insurance coverage to help you manage whatever life sends your way. Our cadre of well-reputed agencies and trained insurance professionals are always ready to provide you with sound advice and prompt service. Choose the security and sound strength that is Massey United Insurance.
In the Caribbean, we do things a little differently. Okay, a lot differently. Our parties are bigger and more colorful. Our people are more beautiful and more sensual. Our fans are more expressive and loud. And our cricket is exhilarating. Limacall CPL, the biggest party in sport, is back, and it's time to come see the stars of West Indies cricket alongside the best international players in T20. Peterson, Mulitharan, Hafiz, and many more when the Limacall CPL returns from 11th July to 16th August. The Caribbean comes alive with partying, dancing, cheering, and the thrill of the Limacall Caribbean Premier League. It's time to join the biggest party in sport. See cplt20.com for details.
I live cool, I live fresh, I live life without the stress. Every day I feel my best, I live cool with Limacall. Feel the energy, feel the breeze, I feel like doing as I please. Relaxation comes with these, I live cool with Limacall.
Live cool with Limacall and feel the freshness of a breeze in a bottle. Limacall is trusted the world over and gives that easy, breezy Caribbean feel to all.
Every day I feel my best, I live cool with Limacall.
So we're back on the show as promised. Ralph Thorne QC is with us, a well-known attorney at law in the Caribbean. We're going to look very intricately at this subject with the whole red steel, Trinidad and Tobago red steel. Ralph, the first thing I want to ask you, does the Minister of Sport legally, does he have a leg to stand on where this whole thing about banning the name TNT off of the red steel, does he have a leg to stand on?
Yes, he can do that with legal authority, and let me explain. As a politician and as a minister of government, he has, or let me say the executive, the government, has political authority over the affairs of the nation state called Trinidad. And that extends to the names of entities that operate within the country. And you may know that in most of these countries, if you are incorporating a company or if you have a brand, to use the more modern language, you need the permission of the state to insert the name of the country. Let's say for Barbados, if you're applying in Barbados to incorporate a company, you cannot use the word Barbados in that name unless you have the permission of the legal authorities of the registration office. So yes, he has the backing, so to speak, of the law. The law gives him the authority to decide whether an entity operating in Trinidad can use the name Trinidad in that name.
Do you agree, though, with his stance, which is a question perhaps that you can answer directly with your own opinion?
Yes, I do. I do, because it is a private entity, it's a private enterprise, and every private enterprise should not feel that it can take the name of a country and impose that name within the brand that it markets. You know, the name of a country is still politically and legally sacred, and you can't just stick it onto anything because it gives you some kind of advantage. So I agree with him.
Andrew, what happened in 2013?
But a year later, Ralph, we're 12 months later, in fact, probably 16 to 18 months later, because of the amount of time that was spent organizing the CPL in its first year. Is it not a little surprising that what has occurred at this stage? And do you consider there maybe a particular reason why it has happened now and didn't happen in 2013?
It is probably that, well, it may be a simple question of negligence or neglect to act. But the fact that he has done it late doesn't mean that he doesn't have the right to do it. But it may be too that they have recognized the value of the CPL, the economic and financial value of the thing, and they've decided, look, why should a private enterprise benefit at the expense of the name of a country?
The response by the captain, Dwayne Bravo, is very interesting. He said that whoever made the decision are a bunch of jokers. Your thoughts on his response, and is it liable to be sanctioned any?
Bravo speaks as a person involved in the entity, and I don't think Bravo himself recognizes the other ramifications. I don't think he does. Bravo obviously is speaking in terms of patriotism and national pride, not fully appreciating that it is a private enterprise which is embracing the name of a country, and it does not have the right to do that unless the country itself, unless the authorities within the country give that permission.
But you know, Andrew, we were talking about the whole thing about if not Trinidad and Tobago, can they name it Port of Spain? Can they name it Bridgetown? Can they name it St. John's?
But he made reference, Minister Roberts made reference to the fact that they call the Mumbai Indians or the Chennai Super Kings, which are cities within the country called India. So I think he was suggesting that perhaps it could be called Port of Spain, Red Steel, Bridgetown, or the St. John's. The question though, Ralph, before we get to that, and what is significant, remember in early 2013 when Pollard was announced as captain of the Barbados Tridents, there was a hue and cry. The hue and cry has since been watered down somewhat. But can we say that this could be part of an issue that could emerge even further now? Because, for instance, were the Tridents to lose again this weekend, do you think people would start saying that perhaps Pollard should not be captain of the Barbados Tridents, or maybe it shouldn't be called Barbados at all?
In fact, I think people now recognize that the Barbados Tridents is not a Barbados team. It is a professional entity. That these are a group of professionals trading their skills, and that
and handsomely too.
And handsomely, and it is not a national team. So Pollard really is not captaining a Barbados team. He is captaining an entity which may or may not have the permission to use Barbados at the front of it. So it's really not a Barbados team. It is an entity. It's a private enterprise that Pollard is in charge of. It just happens to be based there, and it just happens to have, I think, a majority of Barbadian players.
They have about 15 there.
No, it's not a national team.
I think a year later, people now recognize this. So that issue that arose last year will probably not arise again, because it is a franchise. It's an entity of private contractors, of independent contractors, called cricketers, who are selling their skills to a private entity.
Last question on this particular topic. Can they name it Bridgetown? Is there anything legal that someone has to get permission to name a team after?
Under the laws, you can insert the name Bridgetown within the name of a corporation.
Okay.
As I said before, the problem comes if you try to insert the name of the country, Barbados. You need the minister's permission.
So we can use Bridgetown, Georgetown, St. John's, Kingston,
Port of Spain.
Yes, generally the law is that you don't need permission for those names. I mean, there are several companies that have Bridgetown before them. I'm sure there are several companies that insert the name Port of Spain or Georgetown. But when you come to the name of the country, the state reserves the right to protect that name from repeated usage within companies.
What will the other countries do? The other ministers of sport. I mean, we all have our own ministers of sport. Do you think it has reached the desks of the other ministers of sport in the region?
Well, we can't say what has happened. I would hope that what Mr. Roberts has done would awaken the other ministers to the powers that they have.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, and they should do it. I mean, it's a private enterprise, and it has no natural right to the use of the name of the country.
Okay.
All right. Well, we also want to touch on the topic this week. It would have been mentioned and announced that the combined campuses and colleges will not play any further part in the regional first-class competition. Now, you're going almost, about 7 or 8 years that they've been involved. They are going to play in the Nagico Super 50, which is the one-day regional tournament.
And they've also said, Barry, we must mention that they'll be playing as an invitational team alongside other invitational teams.
Yes.
Interesting.
No. You know, Ralph, the CCC have developed players. There's no question about that. Jason Holder, Carlos Brathwaite,
Chadwick
Walton. They're the top three.
Yeah.
Now, do you see this move by the WICB as a financial move, or do you think that they don't believe that the development has been a worthwhile investment?
I hope it is not the latter. I mean, it is a worthwhile investment, and you've explained that with the quality of players that they've produced. I would hope that it is financial. But if it is financial, it is also anti-developmental, because everybody says that we need to play more cricket. We need more entities competing against each other. And I don't understand, in the interest of development of the game and in exposing more persons to the game and in exposing the present persons to more games, why you would do something like this. I think it's a backward step, frankly.
But coming out of the report by the new director of cricket, Richard Pybus, he had in fact suggested to the leaving out of the CCC team from the regional 4-day and playing 2 rounds of cricket with 6 teams each. That was his recommendation. Yeah. So I'm beginning to feel that this decision by WICB is based on his recommendation from the director of cricket's recommendation.
Good point.
A mathematical solution? No, I don't. Look, in county cricket in England, I think Cambridge and Oxford, don't they still play?
They don't play in the first.
No, they're playing in second tier now, and, or third tier.
I don't understand why cricket has an obsession with small numbers, with being an elitist endeavor. And that is why football, I've said it before, has been so successful. FIFA has spread football to all corners of the world, and Barbados has an opportunity to play at the World Cup finals. And I don't know why cricket administrators throughout the world have this obsession with elite groups, with small groups, with restricted groups. I don't understand.
But the ICC has just made themselves into a three country group. I mean, we're now in the second tier.
Precisely.
There's no second tier written down, but we are in the second tier with New Zealand, Pakistan.
I don't understand why, Andrew.
It's England, Australia, and India are running cricket. So again, you make the point about making it small enough as opposed to making it bigger.
They should emulate FIFA and give everyone an equal chance to reach the highest level of football. Perhaps it will take 50 years for some countries, but you have to give people that equal opportunity. And I don't understand why CCC, with having produced the kind of cricketers that it has, these are local people, these are people as qualified as any other. They call it a Barbados second 11, which it is not. Yeah. And I mean, it really does not make sense. Nothing about it makes sense. It cannot be financial. I don't see how adding 1 team to 6 can be a financial burden, and it certainly is anti-developmental.
All right, interesting thoughts there from Ralph Thorne, one of the leading attorneys, QC, in the Caribbean. Continue to send your thoughts to cricket@lineandlength.net, or you can send your thoughts to Twitter @linelength.
Across the Caribbean, more people are placing their trust in Massey United Insurance for the protection of the things that are important to them, their homes, businesses, and their prized possessions. That's because Massey United Insurance offers excellent general insurance coverage to help you manage whatever life sends your way. Our cadre of well-reputed agencies and trained insurance professionals are always ready to provide you with sound advice and prompt service. Choose the security and sound strength that is Massey United Insurance.
In the Caribbean, we do things a little differently. Okay, a lot differently. Our parties are bigger and more colorful. Our people are more beautiful and more sensual. Our fans are more expressive and loud. And our cricket is exhilarating. Limacol CPL, the biggest party in sport, is back, and it's time to come see the stars of West Indies cricket alongside the best international players in T20. Peterson, Mulitharan, Hafiz, and many more when the Limacol CPL returns from 11th July to 16th August. The Caribbean comes alive with partying, dancing, cheering, and the thrill of the Limacol Caribbean Premier League. It's time to join the biggest party in sport. See cplt20.com for details.
I live cool, I live fresh, I live life without the stress. Every day I feel my best, I live cool with Limacol. Feel the energy, feel the breeze, I feel like doing as I please. Relaxation comes with these, I live cool with Limacol.
Live cool with Limacol and feel the freshness of a breeze in a bottle. Limacol is trusted the world over and gives that easy, breezy Caribbean feel to all.
Every day I feel my best, I live cool with Limacol.
So what an action-packed program. Thanks so much for joining us. Of course, continue to follow us on the internet, cricket@lineandlength.net, or on Twitter @linelength. Until next week, I'm Barry Wilkinson. Bye-bye for now.